Walter here. We're gonna start this a little bit late. We're waiting for a couple more people to show up. I got everyone here. We got. Introduce yourself, sir, if you would like to. Ayman. He is the author of the book Divine Genocide. Do we got the book up here? So this book. He is going to be giving a lecture tonight on the book and kind of the history of and the context of the genocide in Gaza. We also got with us.
I'm Jeff.
Jeff.
From Veterans for Peace.
And then.
Bryson from Veterans for Peace.
And then you're from Peaceworks, right?
I'm Ann Solentrop from Peaceworks and also Free Palestine KC.
All right. Oh, you're also in Free Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then my friend Reagan. And then if you would like to introduce yourself or if you're anybody important. I'm sorry. I don't mean you're like. And then my friend Mitchell. We're just, like I said, we're just kind of waiting on a couple people to show up, and then we'll get the live stream going. But I guess we can kind of just have conversation going.
Could I say something?
Yeah, if you want to.
I work against nuclear weapons. There's a nuclear bomb parts plant here in Kansas City called the Kansas City National Security Campus. It makes 80% of the parts for nuclear weapons, electromagnetic and mechanical parts. And there is a nuclear arms race underway right now. So the plant is doubling in size.
Oh,
and
boy.
So we are going to have a protest there, a weekend of retreat and then a protest. That would be the 24th to the 27th. And
This month?
Yes, April. And that would be on pwkc.org, peaceworkskansascity.org. You could sign up there. And also, at the same time, the government wants to make 200 plutonium pits per year for the next 50 years to make new nuclear weapons. It's insane. And so peace groups, Alliance for Nuclear Accountability is one of them that I belong to, sued the government and won. And so as part of the settlement, there will be hearings in 5 cities that are connected with this production of plutonium pits. Pits meaning the core or the trigger of a nuclear weapon that starts the explosion. And so Kansas City does make the parts that will hold that in place and helps, probably start the implosion with regular explosives to make the plutonium reach criticality. So we are one of the 5 cities that is going to have an in-person hearing. And May 7th at 5:30 at Hillcrest Community Center, people can come and speak and say no to this crazy, insane idea. And also, as of today, for the next 90 days, till July 16th, you can also go online and submit comments. And if you don't know much about nuclear weapons, you could just say, I don't want any more nuclear weapons, stop the madness, I don't want to lose my family, I don't want to lose my city, or whatever you want to say. There's a war going on right now because of nuclear weapons, the Iran war.
Supposedly because of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, it starts wars even when they're not used.
Or when they don't exist.
Right. And so, we're going to have a program May 6th at the UU Church on 45th and Walnut, 7 to 9 p.m. on May 6th. And we're going to have speakers and we'll help people craft things that they could say the next day. But like I said, you can just go to pwkc.org and there's instructions on where to go, where to submit your comments, or etc. And thanks for listening.
Thank you for telling me this information. Don't know if you know, I just showed him, but I was at the protest a couple of years ago, or not the protest, but the court hearing for the 3 protesters who got charged for trespassing in Honeywell.
Yes.
I was there to kind of like at the court hearing to record because I was involved with the Green Party a couple of years ago. So the Green Party did an event with Peace Works, and that's how I found out about it. It was over at Loose Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was arrested for the 5th time, I think, crossing the line at Honeywell. And I went to court in 2023, and I was acquitted.
Were you the third one?
No, I was, well, there
Because
were 3 people.
yeah, there was 3 people. There was Kimmy. I don't remember the other girl's name, but you were the third one.
Yes, and they pled
Okay.
guilty, but I didn't. I resisted.
You were the one who pled not guilty.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I told them you should just plead not guilty because,
Yeah,
and then
true. But, it was their first time doing it, so.
no,
They were- they were-
legit. I think I even got like your court thing on my channel too. Yes, I can show you afterwards.
Yes, they tried to make it sound like I did a trespass on a private company's property. Well, no, it is a federal facility. It's under the NNSA, the National Nuclear Security Administration, under the Department of Energy. So, no. And so they were arguing in court the whole time, private property, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, they tried to sneak up to the judge and change the charge. And she said to that it was public, federal property. And the judge said, "Oh no, you have closed your case. The trial is over." She turned to me immediately with a big smile on her face and said, "You are free to go. I find you not guilty." And I
Yeah.
was just like stunned.
No, they screwed up.
And then the last 2 years, people have been given a ticket, but then they haven't pursued it. They haven't had a court case or trial or anything. Yeah,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
yeah. We're nonviolent. We always tell them before we go out there, it's a non-issue. It's our First Amendment right to speak up against this. So, yeah.
Thank you for doing it.
Oh, sure. We even wrote a letter this year. I've done it previously, but I got no reply. But Henry Stover, one of our members, wrote a very, very good letter to the CEO of Honeywell. And so we're waiting to see if we get an answer. And he published that it's going to be in the Star Monday, I think, in the letters to the editor or op-ed.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Talking about articles, maybe you want to tell about this article that you were showing me earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Someone that I don't know what publication that was from. I didn't see, but basically, just all but calling you, dirty names.
Yeah, that's
Oh, you're talking about the article you sent
Yeah,
me?
selling PS as history, Kansas City bookstores, library, elevate anti-Zionist author trafficking and anti-Jewish libels. And
But he didn't mention even one lie. He didn't.
no,
No, it was literally all just slandering. like that's what I read. It was like all just like it was the article line and slandering, not.
all right, this is from A07, which is after October 7th.
No, but I think
All right, this is Substack,
Substack, yes.
Kevin Deutsch, Substack post. Kevin, Kevin, Deutsch is DEUTSCH.substack.com. So,
actually, when I tried to respond to him, I found he blocked me
oh, I'm sure.
everywhere.
Of course,
Yeah,
it's
well,
Deutsch
if you don't call
spelled-
people names, you don't want to hear a response, you block them.
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it works.
The other day, Norman Finkelstein was on a program, and he was on with an IDF spokesperson, I guess, or a former soldier. and he baited the guy, and the guy actually admitted that Israel has nuclear weapons, and they said it's the first time that that was done publicly. I mean, everybody knows it, but
Yeah, it's been an open secret for years.
right. But
Decades.
usually they decline. They say, "Oh, nobody knows," you know.
Yeah.
Well, I find it very
how it all
interesting that so much of the media in this country will look at this and they will couch things like, these are war crimes, or whatever, and say, well, they may be war crimes. And it's like, no, we have very, very clear definitions of what is considered a war crime. And these are very clearly violations of that. And why is it that you're hedging around this? There's no reason to do that. Call it what it is.
And very clear examples of what happens to war criminals. Nuremberg trials.
So,
Or what is supposed to happen to them, anyways.
well, we probably should start.
Hello.
Are you here for the lecture? Okay.
Well, you're welcome to come.
We didn't get as many people showing up as we hoped, unfortunately.
Yeah. that was-
Yeah. Yeah, stupid tornado.
Yeah, I guess I heard there was one actually in Belton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, it touched down in Belton. Hope the Beltoners are okay.
I just got off the phone with my dad earlier. They're fine. They lost power though.
Oh boy.
It headed east to Raymore.
Oh boy.
Okay, you can close it until we start.
Yeah.
Just tell them.
Alright.
Do you need a projector or are you just?
We
We
have.
could also talk about another issue to do with nuclear
Yeah, if you would like to.
issues. There's a insane idea
Can get any more
by a company called Deep Fission to put a micro nuclear reactor down 1 mile deep borehole in southeast Kansas. And they are going to try to run a nuclear energy plant from below ground. And what could go wrong, right? And this has never been done anywhere in the world. It's like an experiment. And they signed a secret agreement with a place called the Great Plains Industrial Park, and secretly signed that last year. And then they just announced it in the press, December 4th, like it's a done deal. And the county commissioners didn't know about it, the city commissioners, the mayor, no one knew. And so there's a lot of very angry people right now. It's in Parsons, Kansas. So they're digging it already, this borehole. They're kind of doing this. They have a permit to dig a borehole, but not to run a nuclear power plant. So there's a lot of questions about this. And at the same time, Trump has pulled back regulations on health and safety and environmental regulations on this. And so it's like rushing through, just throw it together and try it and hope for the best. So the person down in Parsons that's running like opposition to it is a pediatric nurse like me. Her name is Marjorie Reynolds, and she started an organization called the Prairie Dog Alliance. So it's on Facebook right now, and she's doing a great job. She's a natural. She's doing a lot of research, and she actually went to Northeast Oklahoma and talked to the Indian tribes there, and they are on it. They are doing research. Their environmental experts are making maps. There's a lot of gas deposits around that area. There's a grade school 1.7 miles away. It's like not a well thought out plan at all. But the tribes have federal standing and they have lawyers. So this is a great, you know, sort of battle going on down in Parsons, which we're hoping we can stop it. But they want to eventually dig 100 boreholes and put nuclear waste in all of them.
Oh boy. It's just only gonna poison the people.
I know.
Yep.
Get started.
No, but we said 6:15. I know, but we said we delayed for 6.
I'm not sure we need to delay an entire half hour. 10, 15 minutes, I think, is fine.
Is anybody sitting here?
No. Grab a button if you want one.
Oh, cool.
You can have all of these if you want. Half an hour.
No kidding. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Of course. I'll make some more.
I like this one too.
Mm. Let me see if I can pull up the chat here. Apologize, people, for the delay. Let me see if I can remember how to do this on the phone. It's been a while. Filter.
So there's information about the plutonium pits over there on the table.
All messages.
April 24th to 27th event.
Okay.
I thought there was a way that I could type in the chat too, wasn't there? They were asking,
Oh,
I don't know. Okay, that's not how I type in the chat. Jeez. Okay. Do. Highlight video, effects picker, mute. You know what I could do? If you just cheat, turn on my laptop and just go on my channel. I mean, I could just type in the chat on the channel. Or, do you wanna?
conservative, liberal, in between.
They have their own military, right? Don't they have like
Yeah.
force on the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are Swedish though.
Are they Swedish? I don't know.
I think they're Swedish.
And we'll see how this works. We'll see if the internet will let me do this. All right. So I'm gonna go over to my channel real quick. View my channel. Live. And I'm just gonna click on this right here.
I wonder.
And then boom, I can chat to y'all.
I wish I could see that.
There we go. Alright.
So the graph of conscious objectors.
I'm just gonna mute it. Yep. Mute it. So it's not weird. Alright. Hey, Ann, what were those details on the protest dates?
April 24th is like people are going to gather around 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever. People are driving from all over the Midwest. So then all day Saturday and Sunday, there'll be different,
This Saturday and
videos.
Sunday?
What's
This-
April 24th, 25th, 26th, and then the 27th will be out at the plant greeting the workers early in the morning, like 5, 6 a.m.
26.
Maybe giving out some flyers.
Do you happen to know the address?
It's going to be at Jerusalem Farm and also Cherith Brook. Let me get you the little flyer.
Alright. And that'd be good too.
Here's the flyer. And then there's a schedule attached to it when you go there.
All right. Here's this. So I'm gonna go ahead and type the link into chat here. So pwkc.org/RE
Georgia Vatum, and then they
GISTER dash RESSIT. All right, and then
This is about the pits. It's the pits. Would you like a flyer?
okay, so it's gonna be 10401 CHREST RD KC mode. All right, and I put the address in the chat there too. So we should all have it. And then it's also this. I might as well go ahead and show this off to y'all too. And then that's their address right there. And anybody, if you're watching on the phone, feel free to screenshot anything, you know, if you need to get the information or whatever. And I will, whenever we get done, I'm going to edit things and I'm going to put like the information like on screen and make them into shorts. So they'll be available later. So just look out for that.
I think he's ready to get started.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very
So,
welcome.
our topic today is the Zionism as a solution to the Jewish question. So first we need to know what is Jewish question. The Jewish question is a question about should Jews to live and integrated in the European countries where they live, or they should leave. And this question actually started in the beginning of the modern age, which is the beginning of the 16th century, and continuing until World War II, where it was in European country that was capitalist, secular, with a Christian majority, and it was nation state. So where we can see this question? You can see this question actually in their social life, literature, and religious life. First, about the social life. Some countries, actually like Poland, they put some restriction on Jewish clothes. They forced every Jewish man to wear like yellow hat, and the woman yellow scarf. And also in housing, for example, Venice has a law about Jewish, they can't leave their ghetto. They live in the ghetto and they can't leave. And all these laws actually, they intended to segregate the Jewish community or Jewish population from the Christian population. And actually, even we can see that in this problem in the Greek classical literatures, like Shakespeare play The Merchant of Venice, Dickens novel Oliver Twist, Victor Dostoevsky novel Crime and Punishment. And what about the religion? Actually, when Martin Luther started to attack or criticize the Catholic Church, he actually criticized them because he think they didn't introduce the right Christianity for Jews. And he believed if they introduce the real Christianity to them, if they treat them better than what they treated, he believed that the Jews will convert to Christianity. And of course, he started to defend the Jewish community based on some facts, like Jesus was a Jew, they are the God chosen people, and he continued doing that for a while, in a hope they will convert to Christianity. But actually, when they didn't convert to Christianity, he got disappointed, and he actually called for that persecution in his book on Jews and their lives. So now we need to understand what caused this question or this problem. There are three reasons: political reason, economical reason, and religious. The first reason is the political reason, was the shift from the imperial system of government in Europe to the nation state. Why? Because actually the imperial system allowed diversity in religion and races to live within the empire. But the nation state required actually religious and ethnic unity. So that was the first cause. And the second cause was economic, because the shift happened from feudal economic system to the capitalism. Why? Because feudal actually allowed many different community, but separated. Like here state for Jews, here state for Catholic, here state for Christian, whatever. Here state for the rich, here state for the farmer, here state for the poor. But the capitalism actually requires something different. Required single economic and cultural framework. When this shift happened, actually, many Jews lost their economical positions because they used to work as merchants between different states, and that's why the European peoples look at them as they are not beneficial for their economical system. And of course, the religious reason, because people they hold their religion and they don't want to integrate it into the new system or new society. Of course, the Christians caused them by killing the Jesus, and the Jews actually they didn't want to be integrated into the Europe system or Europe society. They wanted to hold their religious traditions. So that's caused the problem. Now, what was the solution for this problem? Actually, we had 5 solutions. 2 solutions came from the Jewish community. One is called Hasalakal, and the second one Zionism. And we have 3 solutions came from the European states. As we see here, something very
There,
interesting.
don't worry.
The 2 solutions called for segregation was Zionism and fascism. And actually both of them was built on nationalism or national thought. So the first solution, it was a liberal solution. It started with the French revolutions, and actually it was embodied by Napoleon laws. He changed the law to integrate all the minorities in the French society, including, of course, the Jews. And for me personally, actually, my opinion, that is a solution solved. That's what solved the problem. Because most Europe states after World War II, they make this shift to be liberal state, and that's what solved the problem. There was actually a socialist solution. It was represented by Stalin. I think in 1920, he called all Jews in the whole world to settle in a city in the border between Soviet Union and China. And he called all the Jews to come there to live or to build socialist society.
Sorry, Walter, can we get him in the video as well? We have
I prefer actually to focus on that presentation.
You don't want to be in it,
No,
in
it's
the
okay.
video?
I prefer the focus on
And they can hear him talk.
Thank you. Yes.
Sure.
That's good. Thank you. Okay, so this city actually Stalin make it for Jews, and he called all the Jews actually came from the world, from Europe, to settle there to build socialist society, and actually it happened for a while until, of course, Israel was founded. As you see, it was in the border between Soviet Union and China. But of course, everybody knows about the Nazi solutions. They called it the final solutions. But we need to say something very important here. The Zionist camp was not only for Jews. Actually, it was built for anybody the Nazi think not beneficial for the German economy. So, including actually homosexuals, Jehovah's Witness, war prisoners, criminals, many different types, not only Jews. What about the Jewish solutions? The first Jewish solutions actually is called Hasalaka, and it came from, or it is called the Jewish Enlightenment movement. And they called actually for Jews to be integrated in the European system, to wear the same European clothes, to send their kids to the public education, to speak the language of their schools. And the second solution was opposite. It was called the Zionism, and it is a movement of Jewish nationalism. And it started by the journalist Curtis, and it was the reaction to the anti-Semitism. So now we move to the next topic. What is Zionism? What is the nature of Zionism, and what is the result of Zionism? First, it was secularist movement, because actually it was idea by secular man, Curtis. Curtis actually was completely integrated into the German culture. He speaks German. He wear like German people. If you walk in the street, nobody will think he's different from any German man. And actually, he invited all the Jewish to do the same thing. And in his diary, actually, he wrote something very interesting. He said, Jews could shed, by German education, Jews could shed their shameful Jewish characteristic that was continuing because of the long oppression against them in Europe. So he thinks the German culture in this time was the model actually for Jews to try to get it. As a journalist, Curtis actually traveled to Paris to cover very famous case. It is called Dreyfus case. Dreyfus actually was a French captain. He was accused by spying to Germany. When Herzl went to the court, he saw French people in front of the court shouting, "Death for Jews! Death for Jews!" Then when he returned back to Vienna, there was election. And who won in this election? The Christian Social Party. And this party actually was anti-Semitic. So he started to change his opinion from integration into the society to decide to make segregation. So he wrote his famous book, The Jewish State, and he called for Jews to leave Europe to build a national state for them in Argentina or Palestine. But we need to discuss something very important. This solution didn't focus on the cause of the problem or the roots of the problem, which is Western racism. No, he focused on the consequence, the persecution of Jews. Actually, the problem here, for any oppressed people, they have two choices: to strive for liberation, to break the cycle of persecutions, or to act like their oppressor. And sometimes they cooperate with the oppressor. And in this case, actually, oppressed people, they will turn themselves to be oppressors. And the oppression will reduce itself again and again and again, because the idea of justice didn't change. And actually, the most dangerous aspect of oppression, that it can turn the oppressed people to be oppressors. For example, Martin Luther King chose the first solution, or the first option, the first choice. But Hertz take the easy way. And that is a second choice. And also we need to ask ourselves a very interesting question. If that's the best way to solve any oppression, so why we didn't do the same thing with Native American or African American? Why we didn't give them a state? And why we need to build this state not in the land of the persecutor? Why we let other people pay the price for that, for the crimes they didn't do? So let us continue with Hertz. After actually Hertz wrote his book, the book actually had very good reaction in the Jewish community. And they started to call for meeting, and they called this meeting Congress. The first Congress actually it should to be in Munich, Germany. But they moved it to Basel. Why? Because actually the majority of Jewish rabbis refused the idea of Zionism. Why? Jewish people or Jewish community actually in this time there was two different groups. Orthodox or Reformers. The Orthodox actually believe we can't go back again to the Holy Land until the Messiah will come. So they refuse to go to the Holy Land before the Messiah. And the Reformers, they said, because we don't want segregation with the society. Actually, we call the Jews to be integrated into the Europe society. So we are against Zionism. The second Congress, actually, they added something very interesting. They said Zionism would not take any steps which would contradict Jewish religious law. Why? To attract the Jews to accept or to accept Zionism. We need to explain why we call Zionism as a colonial movement. Actually, what is a colonial? Why, for example, British people, they will go to India to colonize? Why? What is the point? There are two different points. Number one, to exploit the natural resource from India and send any problem they have it in Britain to send it to India. Does Jewish problem or Jewish question, it was one of these problems the Europe sent it to the Middle East. So they solved the problem by sending it out. And also, if we look at the first Zionist Congress, they said something very interesting. They said the goal is to establish a home in Palestine for Jewish people, secure under international law. What do you mean by international law? There was no United Nations or anything. So what do you mean by international law? They mean will not work against powerful states will not work against England or Russia or France. No, actually we need to work with them. So they add this sentence actually to get the approval. In this time, actually, Palestine was under the Ottoman Empire. So that's why Hertes traveled to Istanbul, in Turkey, to meet the Sultan or the empire of the Turkish Empire or the Ottoman Empire. And actually, in this time, the Ottoman Empire was in their end days. They had a lot of debts for Europe. They borrow a lot of money from Europe. So Hertes actually offered him to pay all of his debt in exchange to give them a piece of land in Palestine to build a settlement for European Jews. But the Sultan actually refused. So he tried to meet with the German Empire because actually the German Empire has very good connection with the Ottoman Empire, and also the German Empire refused. We had a video about this meeting actually. That is Hercules, but we don't have time to watch. So he traveled actually to Palestine, and he used his relationship with Rothschild.
Oh boy.
Do you know Rothschilds? Rothschild actually very famous.
Yep.
Very, very rich family in Europe. He used his relationship with them to arrange a meeting with the British Secretary of Common Life. His name is Joseph Champion. And when he met him, he proposed to him a plan to settle Jews in Arish. Arish, what is Arish? Arish is a city in North Egypt, in Sinai, very close to the Holy Land. So the secretary actually took the plan and he promised to study it and he sent it to the government, but actually the British government at the end refused and he said it can't happen. In the same year, there was massacre for Jews in Russia. Why? Because actually some Russian newspaper accused Jews to kill 2 children and use the blood to prepare matzah. You know matzah?
Yep.
That's like a pie. So, of course, the Christian was very bad. And after the Easter Sunday of the church, they attacked the Jewish houses and they killed a lot of Jews. It was big problem. But the Russian authority actually, they turned a blind eye, ignore what happened. So Jews actually started to rebel against the government and it was a problem between Jews and Christians. So Hertes actually traveled to Russia in this time and he met the Secretary of Security and he promised him to help him to suppress this revolution. Like he will talk with the Jews to be quiet, in exchange to allow Jewish Russians to leave Russia with no right for the entry. And tax the very rich Jews in Russia to take this money to finance this immigration. And of course to allow them to build or to work, allow the Zionist position to work in Russia. In his way from Russia to meet to the 6th Zionist Congress, Hertes actually received official confirmation from the British government to allow Jewish settlement in East Africa, in Uganda. So he went to the Congress and he offered the British people. But of course, the Congress refused. They said, no, we're not good enough. And they offered, or they suggest for Herzl to go to meet the Pope in Vatican to get his support. So he went there, but the Pope actually refused to get his support. Then World War I started. In World War, when this war started, it was between Russia, France, England, and the other side was Germany and Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire at this time, it was the country or the empire which is Palestine belonged to, or under their rule. So the Secretary of Foreign Policy, his name is Arthur Balfour, he wrote a letter to Rothschild. Rothschild. Can you please read the letter?
Foreign Office, November 2nd, 1917. Dear Lord Rothschild.
IT Naimane.
Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the GAZA. Quote, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment of Palestine as a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavor to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in the other country, unquote. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to knowledge of the Zionist Federation.
So this letter actually was not sent from the British government to the Zionist organization or the Zionist leader. It was sent to Rothschild, the most rich guy in England this time. It shows us it is not about religion. No, it is about capitalism. Why? Because the rich Jews, they will stay in Britain, but we don't want the poor Jews, send them to Palestine. But we need to ask ourselves, what is the motivation behind this promise or this declaration? Because actually, there is many evidence. Balfour actually was a very racist man. Like, for example, in the House of Commons in London, in some debate, actually, he said very clear: we have no face. We have to face the facts. Men are not born equal. The white and the black races are not born with equal capacities. They are born with different capacities, which education can and will not change. So, some races man like that. What is his motivation? Maybe,
Get rid of them.
Maybe because he loves Jews more than black or something. But actually, in 1905, actually, there was problem in the Jewish community in Eastern Europe, and they tried to come to Britain, and actually, he refused that. So what is his motivation? Actually, his motivation was very clear. He wrote that very clear in the introduction of this book. The book is called The History of Science. And he wrote that in the introduction. Can you please read what he said?
Mitigate the age-long miseries created for Western civilization by the presence in its midst a body, the Jews, which it too long regarded as alien and even hostile, but which it was equally unable to expel or to absorb.
So he just saw the Jewish was a problem in Europe, and he wanted to get rid of it. That's it. So how racist is during World War I, actually, the British defeated the Ottoman Empire and they took Palestine. They occupied. And they started or established something that's called the British Mandate in Palestine. That's happened in 1917, and when that's happened, the Jews actually was just 6% of the Palestinian population. 6%. We have some pictures here about when the British entered Palestine. So we are still talking about the nature of Zionism, and we said it is colonial movement. Of course, once the British occupied Palestine, they opened the door for big migration for Europe, for Jews from Europe to Palestine. And these new immigrants, actually, they didn't live inside the societies. No, they live in settlement, away from the society. And this settlement actually was Arab. And that was completely different from the Palestinian Jews. What I mean by Palestinian Jews, I told you there was 6% of the population, there was Jews, but Palestinian Jews, they live there. They speak even Arabic. And they live in the society. But the new immigrants didn't live in the society. They live in settlement and it was Arab. And
I told you, I'm 7 generations in Palestine. Yes, my mother told me. She remember we used to live with the Palestinian neighbors in such a relationship. We used to babysit each other, the children. In the Jewish holidays, they bring over the children to the Muslim neighbors. In the Muslim ones, they bring over.
This guy actually was from the Palestinian Jews. So again, the problem is not about the religion. The Zionist organization actually established something it's called Jewish Agency for Palestine, and they became the formal or official governmental body in charge for the Jewish community in Palestine. And of course, they encourage the immigration of Jews from Europe, and when they come to Palestine, they facilitate them in the settlements, and they started to build the Zionist militia. The main one is called Haganah. Of course, the Palestinians start to be worried about the future of their country, and they started to protest. But of course, the British repressed these protests with the revolutions. And in this year, actually, the Jewish immigration from Europe to Palestine was big. And the Zionist organization actually gave them a lot of money to buy more lands from the Palestinian farmers. And a lot of farmers lose their job. And the rent for the land get very high. And it was the same year of Great Depression in the whole world. So it was a big economic problem. That is the rate of the migration. And of course, the population of Jews started to be increased from 6% to 33% in 1946. The problem actually started between Jews and Arab in this kind of situation. And someday, actually, in 16 October 35th, some Palestinian workers work in the port, and they carry some boxes. One of these boxes was broke, and when it broke, it opened, they found this box was carried. It was full of guns. This shipment came from Europe to some guy, this Jewish merchant in Tel Aviv. And of course, they called the British authority, but they didn't do anything. So in this time, actually, the revolution started. The Arab and Palestinian actually started to rebel against the British mandate and against the Zionist settlement. Of course, the British repressed this resolution, and but actually the leader of the Zionist organization advised their fighters or their youth don't be involved. This revolution is problem between the Arab and the British authority. We don't need to be involved. But some extremists from very far right wings in Ghana, actually they refused. They said no. The best way to defend ourselves is to attack. Offensive is better than defensive. So they start to actually attack the Arabic villages, and they start actually to have some terrorist acts. The British arrested some of them. So Britain actually, in the end, they decide to send some commission to investigate the problem. Why the Arab had this revolution, why there is the problem between Arab and the Jews. So when this commission actually met with Amin al-Husseini, Amin al-Husseini was the leader, or one of the leaders of the Palestinian revolution, they asked him, okay, what about if the Palestinian will be a free, independent state now? What you will do with the Jews? He said, every country in the Middle East, they have minority. Yes, the majority are Muslim, but there is some Christian and Jewish minority, and they will be the same. We will not kick them out. They will live there as minority like any other state. When this commission went back to London and they discussed their plan with the British House of Commission, House Parliament, Churchill said something very, very interesting. Can you please read it?
I do admit that the dog in the manger has the final right, to the manger. Though he may have lain there for a very long time, I do not admit that right. I do not admit, for instance, that a great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the Black people of Australia. I do not admit that a wrong has been done to those people by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, or at any rate a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in and taken their place. I do not admit it. I do not think the Red Indians had any right to say, American continent belongs to us, and you're not going to have any of these European settlers coming in. They had not the right, nor had they the power.
It seemed like actually Churchill's view is not very far from Hitler. Just Churchill actually believed the European Jews just because they are white, so they are stronger, higher grade race from Palestinian. But it is the same racism view. As we see here, actually in this statement, Churchill equated Palestine, America, Australia with a manger, and Palestinian and Native American to a dog. So, but it seemed like actually the British House of Commons didn't listen to Churchill, so they actually endorsed something it's called the White Paper. The White Paper actually, it said very clear, the British government doesn't intend for Palestine to become a Jewish state. So they said, oh no, we just wanted to build a community for Jews there, but the state, it will be Palestinian state. And they intended for this state to be independent Palestinian state in 10 years. And they promised to limit the Jewish immigrations from Europe and to have some restriction on the sale of Arabic land to the Jews. Of course, Zionists rejected this plan. And they started to have very bad terrorist actions against the British. They attacked the offices, the camps, and actually they started to plan or arrange illegal immigration from Europe against the British will. When World War II started, Zionists actually was divided into two groups. Some group, they said, we have to stand with the Britain against the Nazi. But there is another Nazi, Zionist group said, no, we have to fight against the British because of the white paper. So what they did, actually, they sent invitation to Adolf Eichmann. Who is Adolf Eichmann? Later, he became actually the organizer of the Holocaust. But that's before the Holocaust started. They invited him to Palestine to meet with him to discuss how they cooperate together. But of course, this visit didn't happen in Palestine because the British closed all the access to Palestine this time. So it happened, but not in Palestine. It happened in Cairo. I know that's maybe a shock for you to believe Zionist work was Nazi, but actually,
That's true.
this document, it is from CIA website, and you can look for it online now in CIA site, the official site. This document about the meeting, this meeting. But Ben Gurion, actually, the head of the Zionist organization, he said something very important here in this time. He said, we will fight the white paper as there is no war. And in the same time, we'll fight in the war as if there is no white paper. So the Haganah actually started to work with the British forces, and the British military formed a Jewish group to fight with him in the Jewish flag for the first time. And actually, it was very good training for the Zionists, how to fight in the modern war with modern guns and stuff like this. But regardless, this cooperation between Zionists and the British, there was a problem happening between them. The most famous one, actually, the Betrayal disaster. What is Betrayal? We said actually they cooperated with the German to send Jews from Europe to Palestine. Why? Because actually, when they talked together in Cairo, they found they have the same goal. German doesn't want Jews in Europe. Nazi want the European Jews to come to Palestine. They said, okay, let us go. So they started to arrange some migrations or trips for the Jewish immigrants from Europe to Palestine against the British. Some trade actually came from Vienna, and once they arrived to the Palestine, the British authority arrested all the people who came in the ship, and they sent them to another ship, it's called Betrayal, to send them outside of Palestine because it was illegal. But actually, the Haganah, the Zionists, bombed this ship. 267 Jews died in this ship because of the bomb, and it was Nazi. It was Zionist. So when somebody told me Zionism and Judaism is the same, no, sir. In 1940, some very far right Zionists they refused the cooperation between Jews and British. Why? Because British are against us now. They have the white paper. They wanted to stop the Jewish immigration from Europe. They wanted to build a Palestinian state. So they refused the cooperation with the British. So they separated themselves from Haganah and they built a different group, very far right group. It's called Lehi. And this group actually started to attack the British there, and they sent to the German ambassador in Beirut, Lebanon, to discuss how they can cooperate together. But I think in this time, Hitler decided to start the Holocaust, so he didn't even respond to them. This group actually, they killed Lord Moyne in Cairo, and Lord Moyne was the highest position, British position in the Middle East. They killed him. They sent 2 people actually to kill him, and actually the Egyptian authorities arrested them. And they started to attack the police stations and government offices in Palestine. And once the World War II ended, Ben Gurion actually encouraged the Haganah to work or to cooperate with the British. But once the war is done, he gave them the green light to attack the British. They had many different terrorist acts against the British. And every time the British talked to Ben Gurion or the Zionist organization, they said, okay, we don't control Lehi or Argonne, they are terrorist group, and they don't work with them. So the British authority decided to attack the Jewish agencies there in many different cities to get some proof.
Oh no, it's because the live stream is already set up to be this way.
To prove the connection between Haganah and the Jewish agency and the other 2 terrorist groups. And of course, they arrested a lot of people and they get a lot of guns. Zionists actually called this day as Black Saturday. The British authority, they live in a hotel in Jerusalem. It's called King David Hotel. So they take all the documents to the hotel there. So what happened? Of course, Zionists bombed. But how they bombed? They send their members to the hotel with bomb, but they wear Arab clothes. Why? Because if they get arrested, or if anybody saw them, they see Arab people, they bomb, not us. And who was the leader of this group in this time? Menachem Begin. Menachem Begin actually later became the minister of Israel. And the most funny thing, he got Nobel Prize for this in 1970. Of course, after he took Nobel Prize and became prime minister, of course, people they asked him about his terrorist history, and that's what he wrote in his diary book about that. Can you please read it?
Quote, our enemies called us terrorists, and yet we are not terrorists. The historical and linguistic origins of the term terror show that it cannot be applied to a revolutionary war for liberation. A revolution may give birth to what we call terror, as happened in France. Terror may at times be a herald, as happened in Russia, but a revolution itself is not terror, nor is terror a revolution. A revolution or a revolutionary war does not aim at instilling fear. Its objective is to overthrow a regime and set up a new regime in its place. In a revolutionary war, both sides use force. Tyranny is armed, otherwise it would be overthrown overnight. Freedom fighters must arm themselves or they will be crushed overnight. Certainly, the use of force also awakens fear. Tyrannical rulers begin to fear for their positions or their lives or both. Consequently, they try to sow fear among those they rule. However, instilling fear is not an objective in itself. On one side, the sole aim is the overthrow of armed tyranny. On the other, it is the perpetuation of that tyranny. We were, strictly speaking, anti-terrorists.
Of course, in the book you can find all the sources, but for the presentation, actually I posted the picture where I get that. And actually this book was written by Menachem Begin by himself to justify his terrorism. But there is something very interesting. Can we apply the same idea on the Palestinian violence against Israel? Why we can't call that also struggle or revolution war against the occupation? If we allowed Zionists to do the same thing and we said that's a revolution, it is not terrorism. So why we call the other side terrorism? It is double standards. I know also maybe you talked about the role of terrorism in building the state of Israel, but actually it is very known. If you look for it, you find many books, many articles, many websites talk about that. It is history. It is not somebody can deny. Of course, Britain get tired of the problem they created. They created the problem, but now they can't handle it. So they said, okay, we are leaving. We will leave Palestine. They called the United Nations, come to take care of this problem. I don't care anymore, I'm leaving. So United Nations actually decide to have a plan. It is called patrician plan. And they decide to build two different states, one Arab state and one Jewish state, with a special international regime for Jerusalem. In this time, the Palestinian, the Arab Palestinian actually, they form 65% of the Jewish population. 65%. But this plan gave them 45% of the land. So of course they refused. Even if you want to divide my country, okay, but be fair, based on the population. They refused. And actually that was the patrician. The blue one is a Jewish state, and the green one is a Arab state with a special position for Jerusalem. The Arab actually refused the plan, and they formed a military. It's called the Arab Liberation Army, or ALA. And the goal was this army in this time to cut all the connection or the roads between the Jewish or the Zionist settlement. Why? Because if they connected together, they can build this thing. So the plan to cut all the roads between these settlements. Of course, on the other hand, the Zionist militia, like Ghana, Argon, Lihi, they start to attack the Arab clans. But their plan is not about to cut the roads or to attack even the Arab military. No. To clean the Arabic villages from the population. They want the land with no population. And they did that in one village after village after village. And to show you how bad it was, I will mention one village. One village. It's called Deir Yassin. Deir Yassin actually in the middle between Jerusalem, in the road between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Their neighbors, actually it was Jewish neighborhood. So they had together agreement. The Arab and the Jewish communities, they have agreement. The Arab, we protect you from the Arabic military if they came, and the Jewish will protect the Arab from the Zionist militia. But in April 9th, 1948, the Argon and League together, they sent their members, their fighters, and they started to shoot everybody. And then after, of course, when they shoot everybody, nobody, whatever, they flee or escape or hide in their houses. So the fighter, after they don't find anybody in the street, they go to house by house and send bam, 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 bam. Some people flee. They shot them. And whatever prisoners they had or the hostage, they killed them, they executed them, they took them to Jerusalem and they killed them. Some news also talk about raping women. And of course, after everybody died, they steal everything, whatever, food, money, whatever they find. And of course, the news spread in the whole Palestine to terrify all the Arab. Leave before the Zionists will come. I don't think we have time to watch the video about Deir Yassin. But in the next day after this massacre, one of the Leahy organization sent a letter to Einstein in America, asked him to help him to raise funds for them to buy weapons from America. But Einstein actually responded very good. Can you please do what Einstein said?
When a real and final catastrophe falls us in Palestine, the first responsible for it will be the British. The second responsible will be the terrorist organizations built up from our own ranks. I'm not willing to see anyone associated with those misled and deceived people.
Of course, you know, Einstein was a Jew. That's why they think he will help us. But again, that's to show us the difference between Judaism and Zionism. And we are not here to stand against any religion or any race. We are here to stand against political action. That's it. So, actually in May 15th, 1948, the British left Palestine, and in the same day, Ben Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. This declaration actually didn't define constitution or border for the new state. Okay, why? Israel is one of the 5 countries in the world that doesn't have constitution. But doesn't have border, I think that's the only country in the whole world. Why it doesn't have border? Because whatever land we occupy, it will be part of our. So there is no enough for us. This video also about how we establish Israel. There are some, the document actually was released about the Zionist meeting before establish Israel. They had a meeting to discuss what we will say, what we will do, and. In this meeting, actually, the report shows something very interesting. They were confused what we should call the state. Should we call it Palestine, or Zion, or Israel? And they said, no, if we call it Palestine, we can't call it Palestine because the patrician plan from the United Nations says it should be 2 states, one for us and one for the Arab, and the Arab forces will call it Palestine. So we can't call it Palestine. And that's the only reason why we didn't call it Palestine. There was Palestinian government, because actually every time you argue with any Zionist, they say there was never some government that's called Palestine. There was government that's called Palestine. But of course, it was ceased to exist after this time. That's the currency, that's the stamp, that's the passport, all of them Palestine official government. 5 Arabic countries around Palestine they refuse that and they refuse establishment of Israel, and they see that as very dangerous to their borders. So they send their troops to fight against the new state. United Nations, they declared truce, and they send actually Count Bernadette. This count actually is nobleman in Sweden. And actually he reported during this truce some violation from Israel. They increased their military by allowing, they make the draft, like for example, the draft was 25 years, so now it was less. Any one 18 years old, whatever, man and woman, will join the military. And of course, they brought more immigrants from Europe and armed. Actually, the report from United Nations about that, some American veteran joined the war special fight at this time. It was Israel. So Count Bernadette actually tried to study the problem, and he came to some conclusion. The conclusion, the Arab refused the patrician plan from United Nations because the land they got is less than their population. So if we increase the land to be equal to their population, I think they will accept it and we will have peace. So he make new patrician plan, and that is the Arabic Palestinian state, and that is a Jewish state. Of course, who will refuse? Zionists, because it give them less land. So what they did, what do you think? They killed him. Why? What? They accused him of what? What do you think the accusation? The most easy accusation for anyone who speaks in Palestine. Anti-Semite. Anti-Semite. That's, you are anti-Semite. If you mention any word about Palestine, you are anti-Semite. So they killed him. And actually the killers was arrested. Good. And Israel took them to the court. Good. But the court didn't accuse them of anything and released them. And actually that's why the Swedish government they delay the Israel admission to United Nations. And the Israel government actually declared something very interesting about their borders. They said the border of Israel, it will be where the last soldier stand. Last soldier stand, that will be border of Israel. Which means any land our military will take it, it will be part of Israel. That's a law. After the truce was done, of course, they started to clean all the Arabic villages. They evacuated 100,000 Palestinians from the villages. They destroyed some 478 villages. 50,000 Palestinians fled to other countries. And the Palestinians who surrendered, they allowed them to stay there, and they gave them citizenship, and they called them the Arab of Israel. But any Arab else, if you resisted, of course, they kick him out of Palestine. Where they go to actually West Bank or Gaza. Why? Because actually Israel in this time occupied the whole Palestine except Gaza and West Bank. So all the Palestinians left their land and they went to a small area in West Bank or Gaza. And of course, the Palestinians left, and the same number of them came from Europe. Immigrations. United Nations actually passed some resolution for reaching the final settlement and the return of Palestinian refugee to their home, which never happened until now. After the war, Menachem Begin, his organization, the terrorist organization, actually became part of the Israeli military. So now he wanted to play political. So he decided to to form a new political party. And of course, most politicians in Israel, they have to come to America to get approval and support. And so he came to America to get support for his new political party. And actually, a lot of Jewish figures, like Einstein, Hannah Arendt, and many rabbis actually wrote an article in New York Times against this facility. If we have time, we can read exactly what they wrote, but I don't think we have time for that. So by the end of the war, Israel actually took 78% of the Palestinian land. Remember, United Nations gave them 55%, even that was more than their population. But by the war, they take 78%, which means all Palestine except Gaza and West Bank. So that's the land they took it in 48 after the war, except West Bank and Gaza. But in 1967, they take the whole land of Palestine plus Sinai from Egypt and Golan Heights from Syria. So they never stop. So that's about Zionism. We are finished about Zionism. Now we need to talk about the result of Zionism. Because people they think, oh, Zionism was great because it solved the Jewish question. As I told you, I really believe the liberal solution that's solved the problem, Zionism. But actually, Zionism, by creating Israel, they create two other problems: the Israeli question and the Palestinian question. What is the Israeli question? Actually, the Israeli question actually was mentioned even before Israel started, founded by the German-American philosopher named Hannah Arendt. She is actually Jewish. She has a book, it's called The Jewish Writing, and she predicted that's what happened. What will happen? Israel, it continued until now as a colonial, apartheid state, depending on support come from outside, from the powerful state like America, England, and just to protect itself from the Arab neighbors. So can Israel continue like that? Or they will be able to be integrated in the Middle East through working agreement with their neighbor? That's a big question. But until now, Israel didn't tend to integrate to the Middle East. It still work as colonial apartheid state and still relying on America. And actually, that's a different topic. I really would like to talk about that today, the American support, but I don't think we'll have time for that. So maybe another time. So that's the Jewish question. What about the Palestinian questions? How even can survive? How can the Palestinians survive? Whether in Gaza or West Bank, how can they survive with Israel actually control every access to them, even their food? To send the food to them, Israel control it. I will not talk about the occupation, I will not talk about their historical nature, I will talk about the land. No. How they can just survive as a human being. They live in tents. in very bad weather, with no food. Children actually die because they are hungry. But the media focus on one thing. They don't talk about how babies die, how they don't have food. No, they talk about suicide bomb. Okay, did you ask yourself where suicide bomb come from? It come from somebody doesn't have any hope for life. So he decided to make a meaning for his death. And he used his body as a weapon because he doesn't have weapon. And he's not allowed to defend his life. The Palestinian question actually, it has two different aspects. One about the land and one about the people. The land, we said in 1917, when British wanted to sign for Palestine, the Jews live in, make like 6% of Palestine. And they were Palestinian Jews. There was not European people, immigrants, no. In 1947, the United Nations gave them 50% of the land to have the land. But after the war of 1948, they took 78% of the land. And in 1967, they took the whole land, step by step by step by step. It is somebody like come here, tell you, oh please, can you give me a refugee or help me because somebody attacked me or something. So you give him a seat. The next day you find he has more seats, more seat, more seat, more place, then he take you out. He take all the place from you. That's mine. Wow. Step by step. That's about the land. So you see here how the green point increased every day, every day, every day. And there is no place for it. So what about the Palestinian people? Palestinian people actually they are divided into three groups. The first group, the Arab citizen of Israel. Do you remember when I told you in the war of 1948, the people, the Palestinians who surrendered, Israel actually allowed them to stay and they gave them Israel citizenship. So that's this group. But actually they live in Israel as a third-class citizen. There are many places they can't go. There are many possessions they can't have. There are many restrictions there. Okay, what about the people who left their home in Palestine? Either they went to Gaza or West Bank, or outside of Palestine, like some of them came to America, some of them to Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, all these countries. The people who live in Gaza or West Bank, actually Israel didn't leave them to live like that. No. Every day they build new settlements, so their land actually shrank. And of course, they control all the access to these territories. Nobody can go inside or outside. And they build the wall, it is apartheid wall, to have. So, for example, if you want to go from your house to get work, you will find all of this access controlled by the Israeli government. To send food to them, to send money, to send anything, it will be under the Israeli authority. So if they want to kill them, they will kill them. If they want to feed them, they will feed them. That's based on what the Prime Minister of Israel wants. What about the Palestinians live outside Palestine, like here in America or any other countries? They can't go back to home. But if there is any Jewish American here wanted to go to Palestine, once he will arrive to there, they will give him Israeli passport and they give him a house. But for the Palestinian who was born there, he can't go back. He can't go back to his home. That's by international law. Actually, no, I show you the United Nations proposed something about the refugee return that Israel until now refuses. So that's about the problem. There is any solution? Actually, United Nations had two solutions on the paper. The first solution is called one-state solution, and the second one is called two-state solutions. The first state solution, the one-state solution, it is the call for, okay, Israel now occupied the whole land of Palestine except West Bank and Gaza. These people doesn't have citizenship actually. The Palestinian who live in Gaza and West Bank doesn't have any document or any citizenship. Okay, it is something weird in the whole world. So this solution said, okay, let Israel give all the citizens, all the people their citizenship, whatever inside Palestine, Israel or in the Gaza or West Bank, give them citizenship, and we will have one secular state. It is not religious, it is not Islamic, it is not Jewish, and actually it will be governed by Jews and Arab together. And actually, the Palestinians, when they refused the United Nations patrition, because they don't want the country to be two states, they want one state. So it was actually, this solution was the Palestinian solution from the beginning. Why Israel refused this solution? Because they don't want secular state. They want the state to be Jewish state. They don't want to give the Jewish identity for the state. Okay, so what about the other solution? The other solution is called two-state solution. To give the Jewish state, and the Arab state, exactly like the United Nations patrition plan. Okay, and actually, Israel gave the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They didn't give them state. They gave them something. It's called autonomy. Which means you can rule this land, but under me. It is not a state. So let us first talk about the Palestinian Liberation Organization. What does? Actually, they led the Palestinian struggle from nationalist background. But when Israel actually gave them the autonomy, they started to use them as their police. Like, you are my police in the West Bank. If I want to arrest someone, you will do it for me. You will do the dirty job for me. So actually, that's let them step out of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And who came and saved them? Hamas. Hamas actually started to lead the Palestinian struggle, but from religious perspective, to religious background. Yes, they have their own fighters. They had some violence against Israel, nobody can deny it. But actually, they never use violence outside of Palestine. They never attacked America, for example. So they use the violence in the land they think it would steal from us. So their violence is just to defend our land. Can we call that resistance, or still we call that terrorism? I don't think that's a question for you. But actually, Israel now killed everyone in Gaza. They committed genocide. Whatever, kids, women, I don't care. They killed everyone there just to eliminate Hamas. But even if Hamas was gone, the idea about resistant in Palestine, it will never be enough. Because think about the children in Gaza now, how they grow up, how they will look at the Israel. Do you think they will be able to talk about peace after all what they see? So I think I'm done. Thank you. I don't know if you are open for discussions or what, questions or what. Thank you.
I did have one question. In the early formation of Zionism, you had something about they wanted to base their laws and everything on the Torah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be the case any longer.
You talk about the second Congress, yes?
I believe so,
The second
yes.
Congress, when they tried to attract the Jewish community in Europe, yes? So they added something about they will not, yes, they will not take any steps which could contradict Jewish religious life, yes? That's what you mean, yes? Yeah. That's what they say in the Congress. So in the hope the Jewish people will accept the Zionists.
Well, it just seems to me that what we're seeing out of this Zionist administration or within Israel at this point, Israeli government anyway, is not following the laws of the Torah.
I agree with you completely, because actually Israel was established by secular people. Ben Gurion actually, he said, I don't want the people who, the Jewish people to serve the God, but I want the God that serves the people. So that's the definition of using the religion to serve the state. But actually, historically now, Israel, step by step, every day, it tends to be more extreme religious people leading it now.
Yeah.
It is not like the secular who started the beginning, like Ben Gurion. No, like if you see now, Netanyahu is actually, his speech is not political speech. He is reading from the Bible many times. Also, the secretary of the security, I think, I don't remember his name, Ben Ghafir or Ben Jaffer. So yes, they tend to be more extreme, more very far right, step by step now. They started from left Zionism, then now it became more extreme and more right. But again, I don't believe they add this sentence because they believe it. No, just only to get approval from the Jewish community. I don't think they believe it. And again, it is secular movement, but they use the religion. That's it. But it is not a religious movement. And that's how they use the religion. How they make the religious people accept it. That's it.
I actually have a question myself. So I saw in the presentation that basically the law for what their border was like anywhere Israel soldier occupied, that's where our border is.
Exactly.
Is that basically the same logic they operate under today with doing pogroms in the West Bank and?
I think it was in their mind when they declared the establishment of Israel. Because why they didn't define a border when they declared, okay, today we establish the state of Israel. You should tell me the state of Israel from where to where. But they didn't say it. It seemed like they want that. They want. Maybe we'll take it, we'll start with what United Nations gave it to us, but we will add more. And actually, if you listen to Netanyahu last month, he was talking about the great Israel from the Nile to Frat, the Nile, the river in Iraq.
The Euphrates.
So it is not only about Palestine now. He wants to take part of Egypt and the whole Jordan, the whole Syria, until Iraq. So it was never enough for him.
Right. And my other question is I saw in the presentation about we want Israel to be created with the protection under international law.
That presentation here, yes.
If I, if I kind of have like my kind of history correct, it's like, the UN itself is essentially just a neo-colonial project where instead of just directly colonizing other countries, they use a legal framework to just extract resources from the global south.
Okay, yeah.
What is Israel's involvement in that as a colonial power? I guess that's my question.
Okay. First, there was no such a thing. It's called because anybody will hear the word international law now, he will think about United Nations. There was no United Nations this time. So why they add the word international law under the international law? Because they think, of course, England and France, the most powerful state in this time, if they refuse Zionism, they can't do anything. So they need their support. So they said, don't worry, we will not work against you, we'll work under you. So international law here, that means the powerful states. But why they did this? I think that is related to the talk about here about the oppression. Who oppressed the Jews? Who had the anti-Semitic? The Europe leaders, okay? So they actually worked with them. Okay, you don't want Jews, okay, we'll send them out. So they decide to actually cooperate with the oppressor. Not solve the problem of racism, no. They decide to cooperate with the oppressor to solve their problem for their own benefits, not solve the problem by itself. Did I answer your question or not yet?
I honestly don't know how I was trying to frame my question. It's just more of because the UN basically was established right before Israel was established, and I know the history of every single UN resolution, the Palestinians or the Arabs would agree to it, and it's always Israel who would decline. And the UN Security Council multiple times have passed resolutions against Israel, but it's been in this weird lockstep where because America or whoever has veto power, nothing has ever been able to get done. So Israel has just been able to skirt the quote unquote international law of the UN.
Because America has the right of veto.
Yeah.
So, and actually, every time United Nations they decide anything against Israel, United States use the veto. So, like for example, United Nations actually they vote last summer for the building the Palestinian state. America used the veto. They vote also to recognize, even when the criminal court for justice, they accused Netanyahu for war crime, and they get warrant arrested for him. Of course, America threatened the international court. So I think there is nothing, it's called the international court or international law, because actually the powerful state, they control that. So it is a job when you told me international law. And even when they asked Trump, I think last week, about what he said about he will destroy the whole civilization, they told him that's against international law. He said, I don't care about international law. So if the most powerful state in the world said, I don't care about international law, so actually there is nothing, no such a thing, it's called international law. Can you imagine the lawyers who spend the whole of his life to study international law, and the president come to tell him, I don't respect the international law? How do you feel about it? your career? Nothing. It is power speak. It is not, there is no right, there is no law. It is power speak. That's it.
So do you think international law was always, for lack of a better term, bullshit?
Okay, it was made, any international law, it was made by the most powerful state to protect themselves, to their right. Then they break it for their own interest when the interest change. For example, who made the United Nations? Actually, America. But now we see it now, it is against our interest, so we'll delete it or remove it or whatever. So it is based on the American interest. It is not based on any right or any law. No.
All right, thank you.
Just like kind of on that train of thought, would that mean like laws themselves are just fundamentally oppressive?
The law is what?
Would you say that laws themselves are fundamentally oppressive?
No, I mean, it was made by the powerful people or powerful state. Then when time change and they see they will not get benefit of this law, they don't respect it now. So, for example, actually before United Nations, we had actually another organization.
The League of Nations.
Yes, but actually it failed to prevent
World War II.
So we cancel it and we built another one. Build another one because actually the time change and the most powerful state now is America. So America need to set up the international law based on our interest. But now our interest is different. So will not respect this international law. And actually, Trump actually doesn't want United Nations. And he, I think he called for another organization. So the strong person build some law for his own interest. If his own interest change, he will destroy all this law and build another law. It is exactly like Karl Marx said, the law was made by the powerful to serve his own interest, to use the poor people or the weak people. And that's not only about the individuals, no, it is about powerful state in international law. Any other question? Thank you.
We're
All right.
welcome to now have the long life to want to continue.
Are we good on the live stream?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, all right. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. I'll edit this and we'll chop this up and we'll get you all more information later. Thank you. All right.
For years. The reason there's so many young black men in jail, because old white men write the laws.
Yeah.